Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Shonen Soup. I'm your host, Botox Media, and today I am coming to you with very sad news. Now, it may even look like I'm tearing up a little bit. I did just get out of the shower, and I saw this news, so unrelated, though maybe I should be tearing up because Super Smartphone by Hiroki Tomisawa and Kentaro Hidano, had to look over for those names, is ending with issue 46 of Weekly Shonen Jump 2022, which is just very sad. I have not really talked about this series that much on this channel, so I wanted to just make a video talking about it, embracing it, talking about its positives, its negatives, why I think it's getting canceled, and all of the above, because Super Smartphone is, well, actually, it's kind of funny. The series actually holds a bit more of a special place in my heart than some of the other new series, not because I think it was the highest quality thing, but because it was the series that got me talking to a lot of my new friends over on the Manga Panel Podcast. It is basically the reason that podcast exists, because Aiden on the Manga Panel Podcast was telling me, hey, go check out Super Smartphone, and I was like, okay, and then we got talking, and then we started doing a manga podcast. So I'm always going to have a special place for Super Smartphone because of that, but let's talk about the series. So we know now it is ending with issue 46, and I think that's interesting because I realized this like immediately. Hunter x Hunter's coming back in issue 47, so it does, like, obviously the series is getting canceled anyway. It does almost feel like they canceled it also to make room for Hunter x Hunter. I'm not sure how it works exactly with like magazine slots for manga, because obviously Hunter x Hunter was never technically canceled. It was still it still like had a slot in the magazine, I think, but it is gone. And Hunter x Hunter is essentially taking its place. I don't think we're getting a new serialization from this. I think this is it. So, Super Smartphone, if you have not read it, is we make this comparison on the podcast all the time. It is a Death Note-like series where these regular people in everyday Tokyo get these super smartphones, these goo devices, or it has goo on it, whatever. And basically they're all powerful. They can look up any information. They can just by seeing a person's face, they can get their name, that kind of stuff, right? And it's basically a battle of the wits between our main character Q as well as the other smartphone holders, or for the most part of the series, it's only a 23 chapter series. That'll be the final chapter count. Zenichiro is the main villain, who's kind of like this rich, fancy, pretty boy at the top of the Zenichiro Corp, whatever his family's name is. So it's kind of just a battle between this. I think he's either like a middle schooler or high schooler. I think he's a high schooler. It's a battle between this high schooler and this mega corporation leader guy. And it's just sad, man, because I think if you ask anybody that reads this series what they thought about it, no one's going to say it was bad. I think most people, though, would even say it was actually pretty good. This was never a series I was like, damn, this is going to get canceled. This is, aside from seeing the rankings, like, reading it, you couldn't tell. It just felt like a quality series. Every chapter, I mean, we were reviewing the series for the most part, its entire life on the Manga Panel Podcast. I think we only missed 3 chapters of the series, which is crazy. And every chapter, every week, it's like one of our favorite things to talk about. We all loved it. It was just such a fun series to talk about and speculate what was going to happen. It had really good characters, a really good villain. The plot device, I think, maybe is part of the issue. The smartphones are cool, but it is a bit done with stuff like Future Diary and Platinum End, and just like that style of story. Maybe that's why it didn't fare too well. But it's just a really good read, and I still recommend it, even though it's only 23 chapters. If this gets printed in physical in English, I will definitely be buying them. I would recommend you buy them. It's just a really solid read, with the exception of these last few chapters where, they are doing, it's such a delicate balance to strike, right? They're doing the Red Hood, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Basically, they're cramming what would have been the end result of the series into chapter 23. So a series like this that probably was meant to go for, I don't know, 70 to 100 chapters, they're now introducing, spoiler alert, click off, they're introducing like these god characters who created the smartphones 22 chapters in. Or really, it was like 19 chapters in, because they've been in the series for a few chapters now, and it just feels rushed because of that. But that being said, the series is still worth the read. It's still a solid series. It's not Red Hood level of BS. If you've read Red Hood, you know. And it just feels, it's still a very nice put together story. It's just, you can see those warnings, those signs that this was what was supposed to happen in 50 chapters, right? So that's always sad to see. I still really recommend it. It is a very enjoyable series, a very nice battle of the wits, some very interesting things happen. You know, if you like Death Note at all, I think you'll get something out of the series. The art is, I think, really good, honestly. Pretty unique art style, very clean art style. And yeah, it's sad, man. I think I don't I mean, we talk about this on the podcast every week. I don't think the series is getting canceled necessarily by any fault of the series itself. I think, and this is funny, if you're watching this and you're an outsider of Shonen Jump right now, a lot of people say, oh, Shonen Jump only has Jujutsu Kaisen, One Piece, and My Hero, and Sakamoto Days, right? And Blue Box. They have the general consensus, if you don't read everything in the magazine, is that Shonen Jump only has a couple good things. That's not the case. If I'm actually going to pull up the rankings right now for this most recent issue, 45 of Weekly Shonen Jump. These are the rankings. So number 1 with color was Mission Yozakura Family, which I don't think is a good series at all. And I think that's actually one that's probably going to get canceled soon, but it got color, so whatever. One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, Sakamoto Days, My Hero. Those are all in order. Those are your top juggernauts of the magazine. Then you have High School Family Kokosei, which is a gag manga. You have the new serialization Tokyo Demon Bride story. You have Blue Box, which is doing extremely well. Ginka and Luna, which is a fantastic new series. I do want to do another video talking about that because it's been just a ton of fun recently. Akane Banashi is a fantastic new series. Witch Watch is a really funny gag series. PPP is a fantastic story about piano playing, and it's really good too. I think that could probably end also maybe soon, just not necessarily getting canceled, just natural progression of story. Me and Roboko, I think, is probably the weakest gag series in the magazine, but it's getting an anime. The Elusive Samurai is pretty good. Actually, I think it's really good at most points. It's been a little bit slower recently. Undead Unluck, I haven't read all the way through yet. That and Yozakura, I haven't finished quite all the way through. I'm struggling there. But from what I've heard of people that are caught up on Undead, it's really good. Then you have Mashal, which is at the back of the magazine, which is crazy. That should tell you something, that maybe this magazine isn't in trouble. Maybe they're not canceling series necessarily because they're bad. They're just canceling them because they aren't a cut above the rest, you know? And then at the bottom, you have Aliens Area, which is not very good, and Super Smartphone. Aliens Area is definitely getting canceled next serialization meeting. I think that's a no-brainer. But you look at Mashal at the back of the magazine, and if you read Mashal, I mean, you don't have to like Mashal, but it is a quality, well-made shonen manga. It is getting an anime. It is popular enough to get an anime, and it is ranking at the back of the magazine. Same thing with Undead Unluck. Same thing with, I assume, Elusive Samurai will be getting an anime next year. So I don't think it's necessarily an issue with Super Smartphone being bad, or poorly written or anything like that. It's just an issue with there's so much quality. People want to talk about how there's not a ton of great series in the magazine, like, oh, what's Shonen Jump going to do once One Piece ends? There is plenty of really good series in the magazine right now, especially with Hunter x Hunter coming back. I mean, Shonen Jump's in a fantastic spot, honestly. They have, and then they have Jump Plus now with the Chainsaw Man and Don to Don and Spy Family. Like, Jump is fine. They are in a fine place. Once One Piece ends, I'm sure it'll be sad, obviously, that you're not going to have that super long-running series, but even with My Hero and Black Clover ending within the next year or two, I think it's fine, because by then, Sakamoto and Jujutsu Kaisen will have clearly taken that place. It's just, I think, going back to the Super Smartphone thing, though, I think it really just comes down to, it was not favored by Japanese readers as much as the rest. It's not necessarily that's a bad series, not that it's poorly written or poor art or anything like that, poor direction. It's just that everything else in the magazine is better. It's not a fault of the series necessarily. It's just the way they do reader surveys in Japan. You know, you pick 3 series, you pick your number 1, your number 2, and your number 3, and they calculate votes based on your number 1, your number 2, your number 3. You know, most people are, if you're going to vote for Super Smartphone, you'd probably put it at number 3 if you're going to vote for it. That's not getting number 1 votes. Mashal, One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero, those are getting your number 1 and number 2 votes. Sakamoto Days, Blue Box. And then a series like Super Smartphone, which isn't a typical battle shonen. It is a newer series. It's just kind of falters because of that. So it's sad to see. I do wish maybe Jump would become more willing to move a series like this to Jump Plus. I think something like this, given more time, could have probably found its audience. And yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say here. I wish they would be more willing to move stuff to Jump Plus. There's no limit there. You could do as much as you want. The manga industry worldwide is bigger right now than it's ever been. Pay your artists, pay your authors. You know, you can afford to keep Super Smartphone's artist on payroll at Shueisha, I imagine. Even if it's not maybe the most successful series, I think eventually it would be worth it. And that's kind of like the whole talking point with Red Hood last year. Are they canceling stuff too early? In certain cases, I think stuff does deserve to be canceled. I think Earthchild and Duran and Ayashimon, maybe not Ayashimon, but Duran and Earthchild especially, I think those did deserve it. But Super Smartphone didn't. It was a completely fine series, so move it to Jump Plus, you know? It's a complicated issue. I get why they do the magazine the way they do. They want to breed and snap out those quick hits like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, but a series like Super Smartphone was never going to take off immediately. That was very much a series that would have done pretty well as a manga once the physical volumes come out in America and all that. And then in Japan, I guess maybe in Japan they weren't doing that well. But you know, eventually it would have probably found its audience. And then if it eventually got an anime, that probably would have done pretty well. Especially, you know, I do wonder if you're watching this and you know, what's the general reception for like Death Note and Platinum End in Japan? And Future Diary and series like that, because it definitely feels like that is more an American obsession, you know? So I do wonder, maybe the Super Smartphone is us liking it is just an American thing, which makes me freaking worried about Ginka and Luna, because Red Hood got canceled also, and I really like Red Hood. So I think that's going to do it for this video, guys. I wanted to talk about Super Smartphone. I highly recommend you read it. It is a very good series. It's only 23 chapters. You can read it on your lunch break at work tomorrow. Like, go watch it. Or go read it, I should say. It's all in the Jump app. Go check it out. Really solid read. Short, you know, it's going to be over next week. And I recommend it. I'm excited to see what this author does, or this artist and writer duo does next series. I hope they come back stronger than ever with another Battle of the Wits type of series. And yeah. It's sad to see, but expected just based on rankings. That is going to do it for me this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, subscribe here for more Shonen Jump content and coverage. You can follow me on Twitter at BoTalksMedia, and you can join the Discord to the Manga Panel podcast down below, which you can also go check out that YouTube channel for our weekly discussions. We'll be discussing the final chapter this Sunday. So with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.